because I believe you will buy booze with it. I just want to get from the car to the office without being confronted by the decay of Western society. We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off. Life's a fragile thing here. 1 minute you're chewing on a burger, the next minute you're dead meat. We don't usually pick up hitchhikers, but I'm gonna go with my instinct on this one. Saddle up, partner. If I spend my entire life acting like Jim Carrey, am I going to become Jim Carrey myself? In this video, we're going to talk about some crazy things Jim Carrey has said recently, how they can help you stay sober, and one of the major struggles of the alcoholic. That is your identity. And we're starting right now. Hey guys, I'm Marcus and welcome back to TalkSober.com. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get all my latest videos on how to get and stay sober. And today what we're doing is we're talking about Jim Carrey. He's been in the media a lot recently with some outlandish things he's saying, like, I don't exist, who am I, and things like that. And I have some quotes for you here today, and we're going to talk about how these things can help you stay sober. Because what many people are seeing is up here on a certain plane. This is the plane that most people live on, where they're dealing with life as it comes at them, acting as if life is happening to them, wondering who they are. Am I a realtor? Am I a moneymaker? Am I a video guy? Who am I? Who is Marcus? Or as Jim says, who is Jim Carrey? And we look at this and we say, how do these things keep us stuck? Because down here, there's something else. And what we have to do is we have to listen for what people are not saying. What are they not saying? Up here he says stuff and people say, this seems crazy. Why is he talking about who I am and everything? This is a successful man. He's reached the pinnacle of culture. What gives? What's going on? Again, we got to listen for what's not being said, and we got to look at it and say, how is this going to help keep us sober? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at a few quotes that I took from his recent interviews and some other things like that. And one of those quotes says, I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so that they can see that it's not the answer. So we look at this quote and we say, what's going on here? What is the deal? We have Jim Carrey talking about these crazy things, saying, what's going on? Who am I? And everything like that. And then he says, and this is coming from someone who has attained the success so many people think is going to make their life happy. And he says, I wish everyone would get that so they could see that it's not the answer. So many things you're looking at, you think are the answer. And we have all this stuff here. And he boils it down to one big thing, and that is the ego or the I. And you see, the ego and the I is all about what you want to happen. You've heard in many things, he says that the suffering is a result of desire and want. What do I want? What do I desire? These are all ego things. Now, there's two planes that people can live on. You can live from a place of I want, I desire, what is my status in life? What are the things that are important around me? And it's all materialistic, it's all junk, it's all going to fade. And that brings us to another quote. And he says, everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart. The only thing you'll be left with is what's in your heart. And we look at this and we say, well, what's going on here? Is this a madman at the end of a pitiful rope, as he says in Liar, Liar? Or is it someone who has attained something and he may see something different? And what he's seeing here is consciousness. Right? Consciousness. What do we have with consciousness? Now, we can be conscious of several things. Your mind is like a lens and you get what you focus on. You could be conscious of what you want, what you desire, what you need, and what you lack, right? And all these things, we look at it, we say, are we being conscious of what we need, what we desire, what we want, and what we lack? Or is there something bigger going on? And we have to look at this and say, what is my consciousness? Because right now you can focus your consciousness on what you don't want or what you do want or what you feel you need. And that is the root of suffering, desire, want, thoughts attached to I. And another thing that he says is that if you don't attach yourself to this ego or I, if you start to look at the world as things just happening, not happening to me, because the ego or the I says, well, that earthquake ruined my house. That happened to me, instead of, hey, there was just an event and that's what happened. Or I don't have enough money, or my family is mean, instead of I'm here, these people are the way they are, and everything is as it is. Because we look at this and we say our ego wants to get involved in everything, and your ego is going to keep you drunk. Your ego is going to keep you from being who you are meant to be, which has nothing to do with your name, your status, the things you own, the things you are, or the very fact that you are an alcoholic. And that's another thing. So many people get hung up on the idea of being an alcoholic. I am an alcoholic. And I don't like this term because I have shown alcoholism, right? I have participated. The things I've done are alcoholism, but I myself am not the sum of the things I do. I am not labeled. And that's what he's trying to tell us, I believe, through what he's saying. And we look at this and we say, is this something that we can learn from? Is there more to life? Is there more to what's going on? And another quote he says is, I used to believe that who I was ended at the edge of my skin, that I had been given this little vehicle called a body from which to experience creation. And we look at that, and from the time we're born, we are taught to believe that our life, our existence ends with what we are, our body, our physical sense. And the fact of the matter is it's much more, right? This is why so many people feel like if they didn't look a certain way, they might as well die, or if I didn't feel a certain way, or if I was overweight or whatever. And these are not things that are you. Your body is merely a container for something bigger. These things aren't happening to you. It's just happening in existence. Another quote he said that I really like is, I discovered a new thing in the Lord's Prayer that kind of hit me. On earth as it is in heaven. To me, it means whatever you take out into the world is what you're going to draw out. Like those days when you're all yang and no yin, and you're fighting with people inside, and you can't calm yourself down, and suddenly you're pulled over by the cops. Everything goes wrong in the same day because you created it. So if you get heaven within you, it'll be all around you. If hell is within you, it'll be all around you. It's all created here first. What does he mean by this? He means his consciousness. I believe he's speaking about saying, look, if you're conscious of heavenly things, and a lot of people think about heaven with a harp and God and sitting on a cloud and everything like that, but I like to think of it as the way everything is meant to be, living out of love. If you start from a place of love, your day's going to go different. But if you start with hell in your mind, you're going to have hell in your life. If you start by thinking everything's bad, everything's against me, everything's happening to me, then your life is going to go that way. And if you look at things as success or failure on yourself, your ego, your person that the culture created, then you're going to have a hard time. However, if you stop focusing on desire and want and all these things, you are going to be free to do whatever you want to do, free to not drink. Because for so many years, for me personally, I drank to escape my life because I thought life was happening to me. I thought I was the ego, and I had a crisis of consciousness. I had a crisis of identity that said, who am I? Who am I? I felt like a fraud. I felt like a failure. I felt like a no one. And then I realized, who is it that's doing the feeling? I have all these thoughts in my head, but who is it who's doing the thinking? And then I stopped and I paused and I said, I don't need to drink anymore, because I realized that the I that wants a drink is nothing more than physical. It's nothing more than the ego and the desire. And I don't have to drink anymore. I don't have to stew about who I am anymore. I could simply be free to live. And when I start from a place of heaven and love instead of hate and hell, life opens up a whole new world of possibilities. And I'd like to thank Jim Carrey for putting these things out there and saying them in a way that works. And you look at it and you say, well, why does he say it in such a crazy way? Because it's stuff that sounds crazy and goes against the mainstream. And sometimes when you have a person who feels this way, they need to be a little crazy to get their point across. And I hope that the point comes across to you, and I hope that you understand that you are so much more than who you think you are, how much money you have, the thoughts you think, the things you do, the things that have been done to you, and everything. You are more. And I want you to start to learn to wake up every day and live from a place of love and caring, and stop worrying about the materialistic junk that the world wants to push upon you. And this is what it's talking about in the Bible that so many people miss. This is what religion and spirituality is talking about that so many people miss. They're looking at it from a term of living in life. They're living in the ego, in the world. And Jesus says you can be in the world, but not of the world. And what does that mean? Of the world means that you're caught in the trap. You're caught in the trap, and that trap is going to lead to alcoholism. It's going to lead to narcissism. It's going to lead to mental illness. It's going to lead to junk. And all of these things are made up by a society that says the ego is what matters, that says money is what matters, that says government is what matters, and all these things matter. But what really matters is you being part of everything. And you are part of everything. And you don't need to worry about these other things anymore. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure that you subscribe and leave a comment here on the channel. I always like to read those. And tell us what you think about this. It was my little 2-cent take on what's going on with Jim Carrey and how to understand these things and what we can learn about how to stay sober. Because when you look at this, we are drunk because we desire life to be other than it is. We are drunk because we want to escape. We want a different consciousness. And drinking is all about changing your consciousness or not being conscious at all, right? And we look at this, and that's what we're trying to do. So why not change it for the better? Why not learn and understand that life is so much more than your drinking, than your status, than your money, and everything? And I'll close again with that quote and put some more up where he said that I think everyone should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed so that they can see it's not the answer. Whatever it is you're running from, whatever it is you're running to, whatever it is you desire, whatever it is you want, whatever you think life is, whoever you think you are, does not matter. What matters is so much more. And if you can see that there is more and that is not the answer, then I think you can live a sober life. Thanks again for watching this video. I'm Marcus. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.